The US government just took action, banning several artificial food dyes after decades of controversy. But what are these dyes really made of? How are they used in food? And why are they finally being called toxic? Have you ever wondered what gives your favorite candy its impossibly bright color? The answer might surprise you. Those vibrant hues don't come from nature, but from a laboratory. Artificial food dyes are synthetic chemicals derived from petroleum byproducts. The same crude oil that powers your car and heats your home is transformed into the rainbow of colors decorating your food. These are complex chemical compounds with scientific names and numerical designations like red 40, yellow 5, and blue 1. Substances ubiquitous in our food supply despite their industrial origins. The FDA classifies them as certified color additives, a technical term that masks their petroleum beginnings. What distinguishes these synthetic colors is their molecular architecture. Each artificial dye possesses a precisely engineered chemical structure, allowing it to bond with food in ways nature never intended. Red 40, also known as Allura Red AC, features a complex arrangement more suited to a chemistry textbook than a dinner plate. Similar complexity appears in yellow 5 or tartrazine, which falls into a category called azo dyes, containing nitrogen bonds absent in natural food pigments. Blue 1 or brilliant blue FCF belongs to the triphenylmethane dye family. These aren't simple food ingredients, but sophisticated chemical compounds, like a chef's secret recipe but designed in laboratories rather than kitchens. Under a microscope, you'd see crystalline powders with coloring power far exceeding anything natural. A single gram can color hundreds of pounds of food, making them 10 to 15 times more potent than natural alternatives. This concentration explains why manufacturers favor them. They're economical, consistent, and intensely colorful. Historically classified as coal tar dyes because early versions were byproducts of coal processing, modern production methods have evolved, but their industrial origins remain. Synthetic colors born from fossil fuel refinement rather than grown in soil. Their chemical composition, featuring structures alien to natural foods, raises questions about interactions with human biology. Our digestive system evolved over millennia to process natural compounds, not laboratory-created molecules designed primarily for visual appeal. These dyes create visually flawless foods that manufacturers prize and consumers expect, representing a significant departure from natural appearance. A strawberry candy colored with red 40 achieves a brightness no actual strawberry could match, conditioning generations to expect unnaturally vivid food colors. Before reaching your food, these dyes undergo extensive processing. Unlike natural colorants requiring simple extraction, synthetic dyes undergo multiple chemical reactions, purification steps, and testing protocols. The manufacturing process removes impurities and standardizes color for consistent results across massive production batches. While the FDA imposes strict purity requirements, permitting only minute amounts of byproducts and heavy metals, these regulations acknowledge the industrial nature of these ingredients while attempting to minimize potential risks. Yet even with these safeguards, questions persist about their long-term effects on human health. The gap between crude oil extraction and the brightly colored powder in your cupcake frosting involves a chemical journey that would shock most consumers. The transformation that occurs in dye manufacturing facilities is so far removed from fruit production that it's almost unrecognizable as part of the food supply chain. What begins as dark, aromatic compounds pulled from petroleum distillation tanks ends as vibrant powders that color our favorite treats, but only after undergoing industrial processes more akin to pharmaceutical or chemical manufacturing than food production. The journey begins with petroleum distillation, where specific aromatic compounds are isolated. Benzene, toluene, and naphthalene serve as the fundamental building blocks. These are powerful industrial chemicals chosen specifically for their molecular structures that make them ideal starting points for creating the full spectrum of colors. The selection process is meticulous as these base compounds must possess the necessary chemical properties to withstand subsequent reactions. Inside massive chemical reactors, these petroleum-derived compounds undergo a series of complex transformations. Harsh acids, powerful alkalis, and reactive chemical agents initiate molecular changes that would never be permitted in actual food preparation. Factory technicians orchestrate a chemical symphony where each addition must be perfectly timed, transforming industrial chemicals into a rainbow of color through carefully controlled reactions. Diazotization forms the backbone of many synthetic dyes, a sophisticated chemical reaction where aromatic amines meet nitrous acid under precise conditions. The chemical dance taking place inside these reactors requires absolute precision, with even minor variations potentially altering the dye's final properties. These reactions create intermediary compounds that are far too dangerous to be anywhere near food ingredients. The hazardous nature of this process becomes starkly apparent when observing factory workers. Unlike the simple hairnets and gloves seen in food production, dye manufacturing personnel must don full protective equipment, specialized clothing, respirators, heavy-duty gloves, and eye protection. This extensive safety gear isn't optional. It's a necessity for handling compounds that pose significant health risks. The contrast between these chemical plants and actual food facilities couldn't be more striking. After synthesis, the raw dyes enter extensive purification phases designed to strip away contaminants. Multiple filtration systems, crystallization processes, and sophisticated extraction techniques methodically remove heavy metals and unwanted byproducts. Each purification step gradually transforms these substances into something that can legally enter the food supply, though their fundamental chemical nature remains unchanged. Quality control serves as a crucial checkpoint where sophisticated analytical equipment examines each batch for consistency and purity. Technicians verify that impurity levels fall below FDA regulations, often measured in parts per million. These exacting standards acknowledge the industrial nature of these colorants while attempting to minimize potential risks. The final manufacturing step involves standardization, adding substances to ensure consistent coloring power across production runs. This calibration guarantees that food manufacturers can achieve identical colors regardless of which batch they use. The standardized dyes, now in powder or liquid form, bear little resemblance to their petroleum origins, yet their chemical signatures remain fundamentally synthetic. Those meticulously standardized dye powders now begin their complex journey from chemical plants to your dinner table through a sophisticated distribution network. Food manufacturers don't work with raw chemicals. Instead, they receive these colors in highly concentrated forms that maximize efficiency in food production. Whether as finely sifted powders, precisely formulated liquids, or specialized lakes where dyes are bonded to aluminum hydroxide for oil-based applications, these concentrated colorants allow food producers to achieve consistent results with minimal amounts. In food development laboratories, scientists meticulously calculate exact formulations needed to create the signature colors consumers associate with favored brands. This process requires remarkable precision. Even slight variations in dye concentrations can dramatically alter a product's appearance. For Gatorade Fruit Punch to maintain its recognizable red hue or Lucky Charms marshmallows to feature their distinctive bright colors, manufacturers must ensure color consistency across every production run and storage condition. The application methods vary by product type. Beverage makers dissolve dyes directly into liquid formulations. Candy manufacturers prepare dye solutions for that perfect glossy surface, while cereals receive color coatings during tumbling processes. Big goods incorporate dyes into batters or use them for vibrant decorative icings. Could these small amounts add up to something significant? Manufacturers routinely combine multiple dyes to achieve desired colors while keeping individual dyes below regulatory thresholds. That bright cereal your child enjoys at breakfast likely contains 4 or 5 different petroleum-derived colorants working together, creating a more complex exposure scenario than regulatory frameworks anticipated. These identical synthetic dyes appear in unexpected products. White marshmallows often contain blue 1 to counteract natural yellowing. Your medication, toothpaste, cosmetics, and pet foods frequently feature these same industrial colorants, creating multiple exposure pathways most consumers never consider. Manufacturers continue using artificial colors despite health concerns primarily for economic reasons. Synthetic dyes cost pennies compared to dollars for natural alternatives, a significant difference when producing millions of units. These compounds also provide exceptional shelf stability, maintaining a vibrant appearance throughout shipping and storage, unlike many natural alternatives that fade with time and light exposure. Consumer preferences also drive synthetic dye use. Marketing research shows shoppers gravitate towards brightly colored foods in preference tests. The psychological link between color and flavor creates powerful market pressure. We expect orange-colored drinks to taste like oranges and bright red candies to deliver intense berry flavors. Artificial dyes appear in surprising products. Vanilla frosting frequently incorporates titanium dioxide for perfect whiteness. Even nutritional supplements marketed as health products often contain these same dyes. Fanta soda combines yellow 6 and red 40 for its orange hue, while Twinkies rely on synthetic dyes for consistent coloring. Lucky Charms marshmallows contain a chemical combination including red 40, blue 1, yellow 5, and yellow 6, creating those rainbow pieces children find so appealing. As these dyes move from factory to food through concentrated formulations, precise applications, and strategic combinations, they create a complex exposure profile that raises important questions about their cumulative impact on our health. While those rainbow-colored marshmallows and Lucky Charms might delight children's eyes, what's happening inside their developing bodies tells a more concerning story. Since the 1970s, scientists have been piecing together troubling connections between these petroleum-based dyes and changes in children's behavior, often appearing within just hours of consumption. Children consuming colored cereal for breakfast, fruit drinks at lunch, and candy as snacks receive multiple doses throughout the day, creating a sustained neurological impact. Clinical dietitian Hallie Saperstein confirms removing dyes from a child's diet can lead to fewer symptoms like restlessness or hyperactivity. This suggests these effects directly tie to consumption patterns. The scientific foundation for these concerns began with Dr. Benjamin Feingold, whose work first linked artificial colors to hyperactivity in children. Though initially dismissed, his research sparked decades of scientific inquiry that revealed these compounds' effects on developing brains. Modern neurological research has uncovered precise mechanisms behind these reactions. Advanced testing shows even small amounts of certain dyes trigger measurable behavioral changes in sensitive children within hours. These reactions manifest as hyperactivity, irritability, memory problems, and volatile moods. As Saperstein notes, symptoms may sometimes take a day or two to appear, making the connection between diet and behavior difficult for parents to track without guidance. The scientific literature identifies red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6 as particularly problematic. These dyes appear in numerous peer-reviewed studies, linking them to attention problems, hyperactivity, and allergic reactions. Researchers have documented that yellow 5 can cause allergy-like hypersensitivity reactions, while yellow 6 occasionally triggers severe responses. Toxicology laboratory research suggests these dyes may disrupt neurotransmitter function and trigger inflammatory responses in the brain. These synthetic compounds interfere with brain chemistry, potentially leading to the behavioral changes observed in clinical settings. A 2022 comprehensive research review found evidence from both animal and human studies supporting the connection between artificial food dyes and behavioral changes in children. While experts note that food dyes may not directly cause ADHD, they can trigger hyperactivity and potentially worsen existing symptoms, leading healthcare providers to increasingly consider dietary modifications for behavior management. Concerning long-term effects have emerged from animal studies, with some dyes showing carcinogenic effects after prolonged exposure. A 1983 FDA-requested review found convincing evidence that red 3 caused thyroid tumors in rats, raising questions about long-term safety. The health implications extend beyond neurological effects to allergic reactions, immune system disruption, and, in some animal models, DNA damage. These multi-system effects demonstrate how these compounds interact with the body in complex ways that continue to emerge through ongoing research. A sobering reality hidden behind the bright colors that capture children's attention. The scientific evidence linking these dyes to health problems is available to regulators worldwide. Yet walk down any American supermarket aisle and you'll find products filled with colors that European authorities consider concerning enough to require warning labels. This regulatory divide isn't about science, it's about fundamentally different approaches to public health protection. At the heart of this international disagreement lies a philosophical difference in how governments approach risk. The European Union operates under the precautionary principle, a safety-first approach requiring manufacturers to demonstrate a substance's safety before it enters the food supply. This places the burden of proof on companies wanting to use these chemicals. The FDA typically requires proof of harm before restricting an ingredient, allowing substances to remain in foods until conclusively shown to be dangerous. This fundamental difference explains why identical products contain different ingredients depending on where they're sold. The same box of cereal might contain Red 40 and Yellow 5 in Kansas City, while its European counterpart uses beetroot extract and turmeric for color in London, both made by the same manufacturer. The watershed moment for European regulation came after the 2007 Southampton study, which examined the effects of 6 artificial dyes mixed with a common preservative on children's behavior. The results prompted European authorities to require warning labels stating the product may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children on foods containing specific dyes. These Southampton 6 include several dyes still commonly used in American products without any similar warning. Dr. James Huff, former Associate Director for Chemical Carcinogenesis at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, explains this stark contrast. The same scientific evidence led to dramatically different protections for consumers. European regulators interpret that information through their precautionary lens. Rather than applying warning labels that might alarm European consumers, many manufacturers simply reformulated their products using natural alternatives. Mars uses natural colorants in its European Skittles but maintains artificial dyes in American versions. This selective reformulation demonstrates viable alternatives do exist, but companies use them only when regulations demand it. The economics are straightforward. Natural colorants can cost 5 to 10 times more than synthetic ones. A company saving pennies per product across millions of units significantly impacts profit margins, which explains industry resistance to change. The International Association of Color Manufacturers is a campaign to maintain current standards, funding counter-research, questioning studies like Southampton, creating scientific uncertainty that delays regulatory action. Mario Nestle, professor emerita of nutrition at NYU, compares this to tactics used by tobacco companies. The playbook is remarkably similar. Create enough uncertainty about the science, emphasize costs of change, and delay regulation as long as possible. Cultural factors also influence these approaches. European food traditions typically value authenticity and natural ingredients, while American food culture often prioritizes consistency and affordability. Recent developments suggest American policy may be shifting towards the European model. The FDA has begun reassessing several common food dyes, and major manufacturers are voluntarily removing artificial colors from some products in response to consumer pressure, acknowledging what European authorities have long recognized. The potential risks of these petroleum-derived substances may outweigh their aesthetic benefits. As consumer awareness grows, food manufacturers face a daunting challenge that transcends simple ingredient substitution. How do you replace vibrant, stable, and cheap synthetic dyes with natural alternatives that behave completely differently? The answer involves entirely new production methods that most consumers never see. Behind factory doors, a quiet revolution is taking place as food companies turn to nature's palate. The vibrant red of cranberry juice, the deep purple of grape popsicles, or the yellow of certain candies showcase carotenoids extracted from sweet potatoes and pumpkins, chlorophyll from green plants, or anthocyanins from blueberries and grapes. Beet juice delivers deep crimson hues, purple carrots offer unique violet shades, spirulina creates vivid blues, and turmeric provides golden yellows, each with distinctive characteristics food scientists are learning to harness. The fundamental difference between artificial and natural colorants lies in their behavior. Where synthetic dyes act like factory-made paints, consistent, predictable, and unchanging, natural pigments behave more like artisanal watercolors, fading when exposed to light, air, or temperature changes. A product looking perfect during production might appear washed out after days on store shelves, representing a significant hurdle for manufacturers. To address these challenges, food scientists have developed innovative techniques. Microencapsulation encloses natural pigments within protective microscopic shells, shielding them from environmental degradation, while strategic pH adjustments extend the stability of plant-based colors throughout a product's shelf life. Production facilities themselves require substantial modification. Extracting natural colorants demands gentler methods than the harsh chemical reactions used for synthetic dyes. Obtaining turmeric's yellow requires specialized equipment to process the plant's rhizomes, while producing carminic acid involves careful extraction from insects, processes requiring entirely new equipment and expertise. This transformation is powered by changing consumer demands. Sales data reveals that products featuring natural colorants are growing at twice the rate of those using synthetic dyes, creating powerful financial incentives for manufacturers to reformulate their recipes. The economics is shifting too. Increased demand drives economies of scale, with some plant-based colors approaching price parity with artificial alternatives. Perhaps most striking is the evolving consumer relationship with food appearance. Today's informed shoppers often accept minor variations in color when they understand the health benefits behind the change. A slightly less vibrant cereal or a popsicle whose color might fade faster no longer triggers rejection when consumers recognize these visual differences as signs of healthier ingredients. Food companies are embracing creative solutions to overcome limitations. Some adjust packaging to protect light-sensitive natural colorants. Others celebrate subtle color variation as evidence of authenticity, promoting them as quality markers rather than flaws. Through these adaptations, manufacturers are proving that visually appealing foods can succeed without petroleum-derived compounds, satisfying both visual appeal and health consciousness. As consumers, we're witnessing a profound shift in awareness about what goes into our food. More people are scrutinizing ingredient lists, specifically looking for artificial dyes like red 3 or yellow 5. This growing consciousness isn't random. It's fueled by media coverage, advocacy groups, and readily accessible online information that empowers us to make informed choices. The power to change the industry lies in our everyday decisions. Reading labels, limiting ultra-processed foods, and choosing natural alternatives are powerful actions. Remember those bright candies and cereals we examined? Each time you choose undyed alternatives, you send manufacturers a clear message. Ask yourself, what food colorings are hiding in your pantry right now?